My name is Robin Spivey. I'm from Norcross, Peachtree Corners, Georgia, and I served in the United States Air Force. I was part of the Judge Advocate Corps. I was stationed at Pope Air Force Base in North Carolina. I really had 3 different jobs while I was there. I started off as a prosecutor and a claims officer for the base. That's a typical entry-level position where I prosecuted violations of the Uniform Code of Military Justice and administrative actions. And then the Persian Gulf War came along. So in support of Operation Desert Shield, most of my office deployed, all except myself and 1 paralegal. I was told I was deploying, so I spent the night packing, but it turns out Washington had the numbers wrong. So when I reported in for duty in the morning, they said, "You're staying behind to run the legal office," which was a very unnatural career progression for somebody who was a year out of law school and a year with military experience. So I moved into the acting staff judge advocate position, and I commanded, if you will, Air Force reservists who came in to help us who were colonels. It was an interesting mix because I was just a newly minted captain myself, but we all worked it out. One of the very interesting things that happened during that time was at the tail end of that operation, when troops were returning to Pope Air Force Base, we were in the middle of a court-martial. And the court-martial was for an airman who had failed to deploy with his unit months earlier. So it was really hot that day in the courtroom. The air conditioning was broken. We had to open the windows, and the courtroom was adjacent to the flight line. Periodically, we had to take breaks to let the incoming aircraft land because the noise was so loud during this trial. So had this airman deployed, he would have been returning that day instead of going to Fort Leavenworth, which is where he ended up. I do think it made me a more disciplined person, and it also gave me the operating framework that I use to analyze problems, or basically to live my life, which is to be very mission focused, to be part of a team, to realize that your feelings don't matter, you just keep moving forward. It doesn't matter if you're tired, you just move forward towards the objective. And I think I still do that today. Well, there are a lot of jobs in the military beyond combat operations. My job was a perfect example. I was participating during wartime, supporting the whole operation, but I didn't deploy personally. Now, the rest of my office did, and they were in Oman, which was our support location for that operation. So they experienced some conditions that were a little different from my own. But there's everything in the military, you know, it's like a city. It has all those jobs available, and it's a wonderful place to get experience, which is part of why I joined myself, to get trial experience, because as soon as you show up on base as a judge advocate, they throw you in the courtroom. Also, my family respected the military, and we had members in the military. My dad was in the military in the Navy, and my father-in-law was in the Air Force, actually stationed at Pope Air Force Base, where I was. I would like them to think of me as a team player, as someone who was willing to try something new, because there are a lot of women in the military now, and there were some at that time as well, but I was not afraid to sort of branch out and do something a little different, and just to have a curiosity about life, you know. If you're interested in something, pursue it, check into it. Information is so available now that it's easy to explore new fields or try something new. I enjoyed the experience. I felt like I was equal to everyone else. I did not experience discrimination that I was aware of. That happened to be during the era where the military in general was investigating complaints of discrimination, so I participated in that survey. But personally, I did not experience anything that some people were reporting. And that may have been because I was in a professional group, not part of the combat troops. So I can't explain that. But I had a very positive experience and felt like everyone treated me as an equal In fact, the fact they gave me the command responsibility for the legal office, and that was unusual because we had trained where the highest ranking reservist would come in and take over. But instead, they left the highest ranking active duty person in charge, which created an interesting situation with the rank structure. The fact they gave me that, I think, was a testament to my ability or the way they perceived it, and they felt like I could do it. They also, I don't know if I mentioned this, but they awarded me for that time period, gave me the Combat Support Group Company Grade Officer Award for 2 consecutive quarters during that time frame. So I took that also as testament to I did a good job during that. So I mentioned I was the prosecutor at first, then I became basically the manager of the legal office as the staff judge advocate. The third job I held in the Air Force was as a defense counsel. So when the troops all came back from the Persian Gulf War, I moved out of the legal office and became the defense counsel for Pope Air Force Base. So I was defending people against some of those same charges I had prosecuted earlier. Not the same people, of course. And then I also traveled to some nearby bases to defend people. One of the interesting experiences I had then was one of my clients said he would like for me to participate with his family attorney on a case. And next thing I knew, F. Lee Bailey had landed in my office. So we were co-counsel on a case. Now, interestingly, I also represented alone the co-defendant of that client, and I ended up with a slightly better deal than the co-representation of the first airman.